Hello and welcome to another of InstallFree's training sessions. In the following video, we'll go over the first phase of the InstallFree Bridge Suite setup, and by the end of this video, you will reach the point from which you can start an evaluation, basic POC, or go on to the more advanced setup, tweaking your system to fit into your IT infrastructure needs and regulations. But before we start, please make sure to consult your setup guide to see which platforms are supported by your version of the InstallFree Bridge Suite. Other than that, you will need the zip file containing the InstallFree Bridge Suite and a valid license file. Both can be downloaded from InstallFree's customer portal. You will also need a Windows 2003 or 2008 file server, an Active Directory server, a testing machine running either XP, SP2 or higher, or a Windows 7 machine, and you might also want to create an Active Directory user account for testing. Before you start, you should also create a folder on your file server's C root or a similar location where you store AODs prior to uploading them into the IFMC. And you can see here my own staging folder and how I've organized it into the different types of AODs. The AOD staging folder will also act as a backup for your AODs, since whenever an AOD is uploaded into IFMC, a new AOD is forged in the InstallFree file share itself. Okay, now let's start with the basic setup process itself. So first, let's start with creating the file share, also known as the InstallFree master file share, in which all the AODs, system files, bridges, etc. are stored for user access. The file share will also include the IFMC itself and its XML files that substitute the traditional database. This means that you don't need to install a database or anything similar. Also, remember that the IFMC is a virtual application by itself, so no traditional installation is actually required. Okay, so first I'll create a new folder in the server's C root and name it InstallFree. And if you're using a different location, make sure that it's not on any of the user's folders like the desktop, application data, etc. Now, let's extract the zip file into the folder, and you can see here the zip file. So I'll double click it and just drag and drop the content into the InstallFree folder. Now, I'll copy the license file into the folder. And now let's turn the InstallFree folder into a file share. So I'll right-click the folder, select Share, and first of all, I'll make sure that any administrators that might use the IFMC will have complete read and write permissions to the file share. And you can see here the administrator account is set as owner, so I'll leave that in. And now I'll add the end users that will have access to the InstallFree Bridge Suite on endpoints. And in my case, I'll just add everyone and make sure they have read access to the file share. So I'll press the share button and done. Now, to support some advanced features such as self-provisioning and roaming profiles, you will need to grant users write access to the data subfolder here, since this is where related files will be stored. Also, if you wish, this folder can contain the usage statistics aggregated by the Bridge Virtual Client. So I'll right-click the data folder, select Share again, and change the permission level from Reader to Co-Owner. And press Share again, and done. And now let's go on to the second step and go over the first time setup by running the IFMC. So I'll double-click the IFMC executable here, type in my regular AD administrator password in the login window, press Next in the welcome screen, And now I'll wait for the IFMC to validate the license file and my sharing configurations. And up here in the confirmation screen, you can see the path that I will later use to access the Bridge virtual client when testing it on endpoints. And later, this same path will be used by the logon script to automatically download the Bridge virtual client to endpoints. But for now, let's press Finish and wait for IFMC to run. And you can see the first time setup was completed successfully and the IFMC is up and running. So I'll maximize the screen here. And up here you can see the Active Directory tree as it is read directly from the AD schema with all the OUs, users, groups, etc. And down here you can see the IFV Applications tree into which I will add AODs and organize them into packages and containers. Under it you can see the System tree, which allows me to control and add all the different components that make up the InstallFree Bridge Suite, like IFV engines, Bridge virtual clients, and also manage the roles of different administrators and their permissions. Okay, now let's go to my endpoint and check the connection to the file share. So I'll click the Start menu, browse to my file share, open the logon script folder, and run the batch file here. And note that this is the same file which I will later add to the logon script. So I'll just double click it, and you can see the batch file is running. And as you can see, the bridge icon appeared in the sys tray. And the rotation here means it's connecting to the file share and reading the XML files to find out which applications are allocated to the user. But since we have no applications assigned yet, the icon switched to its grayed out mode. Okay, now let's go back to IFMC and allocate our demo user and application. And we'll start by first adding a container to the IFV Applications tree. So I'll right-click the tree here, choose New, Container, press Next, type in the container name, and in this case, First Time Test, click Next, and Finish. And as you can see, the application container folder was added. And now let's create an IFV application package by adding an application AOD. So I'll right-click the First Time Test container, choose New, Application, click Next. Now, if you already have AODs in your training folder or from an encapsulation lesson, you can use them. Or if you don't, you can choose this option here and the IFMC will connect to InstallFree's online repository of AODs. So I'll click Next, and you can see here all the AODs found in the repository. Now, usually we recommend downloading the Firefox AOD, but you can use any application you wish. And for this demo, I will download an Excel viewer. So let me just locate it, and I'll mark it, and click Next. In this screen, I'll click Next again since I don't need any changes to the default expansions. Click Finish, and wait for the AOD to be downloaded to my machine. And we're done downloading. And now let's wait until IFMC finishes building the package entity. And as you can see, the Excel viewer was added to my IFV Applications tree under the First Time Test container. And you can see its different components, though in this case we will have only an expansion of SE launch or shell execute launch, which is responsible for some shell integration aspects. And in the right pane, you can see the shortcuts embedded in the AOD itself, which will later show up on the endpoint. Okay, now let's go ahead and allocate my demo user with the new application I've created. Now, if I wanted to, I could allocate the application to my demo user from the AD tree by right-clicking the user, selecting Manage IFV Applications, and marking the application. And I could also do it in a higher level of the tree and let all the children objects inherit access to the Excel viewer. But in this demo, I'm going to show you the other option, which is the Applications Allocation tab found here. So I'll click it, click Add, type the username, click Find Now, mark the user, and click OK. And you can see the user was added to the list here. And now let's switch to the endpoint and see how the application was downloaded and that everything is working. So I'll first force the bridge to check for updates on the file share by right-clicking the icon and select Check Now. I'll wait for it to stop rotating. And as you can see, the Excel viewer was added. And you can already see the desktop icon. And if I go to the Start menu, under All Programs, you can see the shortcut up here too. Now let's run the viewer just to see it's working. And everything seems to be fine. And now let's go to the last step and add the logon script that will automate the process of downloading the Bridge virtual clients to endpoints. And you can see my Active Directory MMC here. And in this case, I will add the logon script to the entire domain controllers, but in your case, you can add it only to a specific test user or group. So I'll right-click it, choose Properties, go to Group Policy, click Edit, go to Windows Settings, select the logon script, click the Show Files to copy my Bridge logon scripts files, browse to the logon script folder on the file share, and copy its content to the AD logon script folder. Okay, I'll close this, click Add, click Browse, add the Bridge batch file, click OK, and now I'm basically done, so I'll OK my way back. And at this point, I'm basically ready to either start an evaluation process or go on to the advanced setup and final tweaking. So thank you all for watching, and please make sure to find more related videos in the description box.